Just going to quickly record this video to follow up on my previous video where I discussed Terraform with NSX-T. This time we'll build out infrastructure as code, not just with NSX-T, but also with the vSphere to help me deploy virtual machines, attach those virtual machines to network segments, apply firewall policy between my various tiers of my applications, and bring an entire production application to life. I use this approach when I do demonstrations with my customers to help me spin up and spin down infrastructure as I need to, as each of my demos is quite often varied based on the customer's requirements. This approach allows me to demonstrate the creation of an application tier and a web tier inside an infrastructure environment. I'll do it as follows based on my previous videos build out. So an existing tier 0 router, which I demonstrated in the previous video, is called peering. This can obviously be called whatever you want. I call mine peering because it has two BGP peers into my lab environment for route advertisement. And today we'll be adding two new tier 1 routers, so some logical routers called web, actually called web prod and app, and these will be attached to this tier 0. I covered this in the previous video, and we'll quickly go through how we create this as well. Attached to this will be some network segments with the IP addresses 10.101.0.0/24 with .1 assigned to the distributed gateway built into the tier 1 and 10.102.0.1. These subnets will be providing routing services, but also be configured with DHCP. And attached to these will be a couple of VMs, Web 1, Web 2, App 1, 2, like so. And of course I need some security as well. So I'll be configuring security policy. So a stateful firewall is inserted on the VNIC of each VM, allowing access on port 80 and port 443. Inbound this way, should say 80. So, and then between the web tier, app tier is port 443. Also configured ICMP on here as well. So this is how this is what we'll end up with. Let's go through and show us how to build this out. Jump back into Visual Studio. So this is pretty much where I left things off in my previous video. I've added in some variables here as well as lists to help me build out iterate through this list to build multiple servers. And I've got some variables associated with those as well, just to help the iteration process. Nothing else has really changed. My peering route is already defined. I've got a couple of existing customer segments here as well, or tier 1s and segments. But for this demonstration, let's go through and we'll add in our additional tier 1s. I'm going to call this a demo network. Inside my demo network, I need to add in say that twice. Right, my web production tier 1 gateway, and attach this to the peering tier 0 and tell it to advertise static routes and connected routes from tier 1. Create the network segment, the subnet, mask, and gateway, and addresses usable for DHCP allocation. Obviously attach this segment to the web production. And the same goes for the app prod tier 1 and associated network segment. We'll then add another file to define our virtual machines and the security constructs they use and security policy. Right, inside this file, quite a few things we need to define, but some simple high-level constructs which we need to define will be things like the services we wish to use for our security policy, which I'm going to import as data structures from NSX, which has them already predefined, ICMP, HTTP, and HTTPS. Define my policy groups, which are very much like an address group you would have on a traditional firewall. These groups are called web prod and app prod, and any VM that's tagged with a tag of web or a tag of app will be populated into this group, including the IP addresses that have been assigned to them. I then define my virtual machines, I'm going to build 2 virtual machines, and I'm using the variable list that I defined previously as well to iterate through that as well. So I'll have a machine called 2 machines, one called Web1 and Web2. I'll be attaching these to a NSX-T segment, which is extracted from NSX-T policy. And then we need to go through and actually create the firewall policy. So defining our source and destinations for the policy and the permitted protocols. So we'll call this web access with 2 rules. Will we allowing ICMP, HTTP, HTTPS, and a second rule to deny all of the traffic. And I'm going to configure a very similar set of configuration for the app side of the demo. So again, a virtual machine, be 2 of them, app 1, app 2, and we'll be creating the security policy and using the existing services, allowing ICMP and HTTP, but only between web and app, and denying all other traffic. So that's pretty much all we have to do. Let's just save this. And we'll be pushing this up to GitHub again for our source control. There you go. Jump over to my terminal and pull these changes down as well. Okay, great, we now have these 2 files. So let's just run Terraform plan against this as well, which will refresh the network state and then see what changes it has to make. Okay, great. So it's telling us it's going to go away and create these VMs. It's cloning them from a template that's residing inside my vSphere server. Cool. All right, let's tell Terraform to actually go away and do this. That's not the right command, is it? So it's already gone into NSX. It has, we'll make the changes to NSX first, spin up the virtual machines and attach them to those network segments, and apply the firewall policy. Right, let's jump into vSphere and have a look. Right, so it's now spinning up these VMs over here. It would have jumped in here and also made our networks as well. Web servers, app prod, being created as well. Sorry, web prod, app prod. You see they're actually NSX controlled. They've got a little N icon here as well. Configured as transport overlays, and we've automatically assigned our VNIs for isolation of those networks. We look at NSX as well. App prod, refresh this, make sure we're looking at current. App prod, web prod, network segments, my2, my1, which are attached to our web prod, app prod networks. Do a quick look at the topology here as well. The VMs may not show up yet, they're still being created. Okay, so we've got web prod attached to peering. Zoom in a bit. The overlay details, here we go. So as our drawing depicted, got web app connected to T0. Okay, NSX is taking care of all the address allocation. To look at our security as well. So we should have automatically created 2 security groups. App prod servers, web prod servers here. Our security policy will be in place. Okay, app server access, web server access, source, destination, HTTP, ICMP, and any traffic until rest of the traffic is blocked, and web server access will be likewise allowing these three protocols and dropping everything else. Great. So the slowest part of this demo is really bringing up the virtual machines inside vSphere. So I'll leave this running and we'll jump back into it and have a look at it after these VMs have been created. Right, we've now finished the run through on Terraform. Our plan is complete. We've now applied all the configuration settings to the network. So let's go through and have a quick look at our topology. The VMs have been deployed. They're both spun up inside vCenter. Let's have a quick look here. Log in here. Don't do that. Okay, so we'll zoom our topology here. App prod, web prod. 2 VMs here. 2 VMs here. Both VMs are deployed, so app 01, app 02. IP address is assigned through DHCP. Great. Take a quick look at our security. Distributed firewall, we now have 2 policies, app server, web server. Great, so it looks like it's actually run through, it's deployed, allocated addresses. So we go through our little checklist here as well. Peering was already in place. We deployed our 2 tier 1 logical routers here. DHCP was configured on the tier 1s as well. Subnets, gateways configured. VMs built and deployed through Terraform. And firewall policies put in place as well. So that's it for this video. Just wrapping this one up. Obviously with Terraform we could do much more as well. We could start putting load balancers and things in as well. But for right now we've managed to deploy 2 separate logical routers with separate and isolated routing tables, created a subnet, a segment, attached 2 workloads to it, and configured firewall policy, all through Terraform. Right, thank you. If you have any need to get hold of me, fprice@vmware.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter as well, fprice. Thanks. Speak to you soon. Bye.